Guys, I'm trying something a little bit different here. And I'm doing this because I want to be able to do live chats. But I got a couple of different items. I got a whole bunch of things on my board up here that I got to talk about. And I want to discuss, but I got so many of them that I need to go ahead and get these things off of my board. So the first one that we want to talk about here is vision. This building game that we're in, you got to have vision. You got to have, you got to be able to see that job before it's even built. You got to be able to go out to that job site and you got to be able to see it. You got to be able to see that house, guys. And guys, I mainly discuss residential new construction, but you got to be able to see that house on that lot before anything happens. And now, and the reason I say that is because that's what I do at the beginning. And there was an old builder, guys. Let me just say this right here. If you guys come in on the chat, just let me know if you guys got any questions or anything like that. Just come in on the chat. I'm having to try something a little bit different here. I'm having to use my iPad instead of my computer because I think I had a lag or something. So, guys, there was an old builder, man, and I shout out to this guy. It's about 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. But he was building a subdivision in one of the upscale areas here in the Birmingham area. This builder name was Harry Horton. I hadn't seen Harry in years, but Harry was building. He was building in my subdivision. He was building, well, not my subdivision, but his subdivision. He had like a cul-de-sac, and he probably had about 20 houses. And back during that time, guys, what would happen is that a developer would go in and develop the subdivision. Once they developed that subdivision, they would sell the lots to builders. So this guy named Harry Horton, once that developer developed it, he went in and he bought all the lots, and he just built his houses. So he actually lived on that street, and he would build house after house after house. And then every once in a while, he'll move into a house that he built and he keep it going. And ultimately he built it. He got to the point to where his house was free and clear. I think, man, after probably about the fourth or fifth house, his house was free and clear. And so so that way he had equity in his house to the point where he can go get loans from the bank and do specs if he want to. But I used to go to that subdivision. I was just so impressed by the work that this guy did, man. I was like, man, this guy. And guys, I love the building. I love the atmosphere of building. So, I was just really impressed by this guy, man. He did a really good job. I walked through some of the houses that he built. And guys, during that time, me and my wife, I think our date our date nights was going out looking at different houses. We go out and look at different houses and things like that, and look at the modern trend, the decorations and things like that. That was our date night, guys. And so me and we would go out there and we'd go look at this house that he was building. And I mean, he was just the details and things like that. He was very savvy. He was he had a vision. He had a plan. He made sure all his subcontractors did exactly what he wanted. There was no deviation from what he wanted. What you could tell that he was the guy behind everything that happened on those job sites. And so I saw him on the site a couple of times, and me and him would talk, and I would talk to him, and the one thing that he told me, guys, and I remembered, I mean, guys, this is 25 years ago. But this guy told me, he said, if you can't, he told me a couple different things. One thing was, he said, if you can't see that house before you start building, you don't need to be doing this. If you don't have the vision to see this thing and see this thing all the way to the end, to the final details, You don't need to be doing this right here. He also said if you can't deal with, guys, this is a big risk when you go out there, and especially when you build spec homes. Because a couple of them he built with spec. He started out, and then people would come in and buy it. But the housing market was kind of good back then. People were just buying houses. The real estate agents were just order takers. But he would say that, he said, if you're afraid to get out here and take these chances, because this is a big chance. You go out here and you get these, $300,000-$400,000 loans from the bank. If you can't pay these guys, you can't pay that interest, you're gonna be in trouble. And if you got problems with that, taking these big chances, and you can't stomach dealing with these things, this is not the game you need to be in. And that, guys, I remember that, and he's 100% right. And I wish I can see this builder today. I hadn't seen him probably during those times, but if I saw him, I really appreciate the knowledge that he gave me. And then, so this right here leads to another story another situation. So my first house, I got my builder's license during that time, and I was like, man, I'm fixed to get out here and start building. I got approval from from the banks to get a loan. So that was another thing that I got. So I got the approval. So I was actually ready to build, guys. I was ready to do this thing. And he had another lot on his street. So he had a couple houses he was building. He had another lot. He said, "I see this lot right here." The lot was kind of in a hole. It had some work to be done. It was kind of like a dog lot. And dog, guys, if you don't know what a dog lot is, that's just a lot that, it's going to take a little work to get it right. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to take a little work to get that thing to where you can start building on it. And, I kind of beat around the bush, and I'm just, yeah, man, I want to get it. But I was just afraid, man. I was afraid. And not only that, the one thing that I didn't have when I saw that lot, I saw the other houses that he was building. And I saw that particular lot. It was kind of sitting down in a hole. And I was looking at it, I was like, well, it's not perfect, just like the other lots are. And I just kind of procrastinated. I took, every time I saw him out there, he said, "What you gonna do?" And I was like, man, I don't know. He said, "Man, look, you just gonna have to, if you're gonna do it, you just gonna have to do it." Now, the one thing that he did have on me, when I think back on it, man, the one thing that he did have on me is the fact that he had a whole lot more experience than I had. So he he understood all those things like the dirt work and things like that, and basement lots. He's done all those things before, so he had a little bit more experience. So he wasn't afraid. I was afraid, and I didn't really want the first house that I built to be a lot of challenges dealing with the dirt. I needed something a little bit better than that at that time when I think about it. But one thing that he also said, Harry Horton said, was he said, "Man, you just gonna have to do it. Just get out there and do it." So I procrastinated, didn't do it. Harry went on ahead and built on that lot. And at that time, he was telling me about a geo blanket. I never heard of that before, but he did what they call a geo blanket to build it up. And guys, I've done one of those right there before as well. I had to end up doing one at one particular time, but he did a geo blanket, built it up, man. And when he got finished with it, looked just like any other house. I was like, man, how did you do that, man? I saw him when he was getting everything together. He had the house framed up, and it was looking good. It was actually looked better than the other houses. He was like, man, all you got to do is just do it. He said, you just got to do it. So that's one thing that I learned, guys, in this game of building, guys, this is especially when you get into the spec builds, and custom builds are really challenging because, you're dealing with homeowners and you're dealing with expectations from them, and they're just things that they expect you to do and you didn't have. So, but one thing that you gotta have, guys, is vision. You gotta have that vision to be able to see that thing to the end, and you gotta be able to see it before you even start building it. And if you don't have that vision, you're going to be in trouble. But like in a day's time, let me kind of go back here and get my computer. I figured this right here would happen. Just make sure I'm hitting my talking points. So you got to have that vision. And guys, it's not really hard to see your vision once you figure out what your purpose is. If you're a builder and you figure out what your purpose is, everything else is easy. Well, not easy. Everything else, your purpose. It's been taking me years to figure out what my purpose is, man. I think I finally figured it out. But your purpose pretty much takes over everything else. But one thing that we have to develop, especially you young guys, you got to find out what your purpose is. And you guys have it really, really hard, especially the younger generation. You have it hard because you got so many distractions today that gets in the way of you being able to figure out what your purpose is. You just distractions. You got your cell phones, guys. You got, the guys got girls. It's just, golly, it's just so many distractions. They dealing with I've been noticing that a lot of guys, especially in the African American community, a lot of marijuana, man, weed and stuff like that. This thing is just, it's getting crazy. I even pull over at a stoplight. You can smell it coming out the cars and stuff. It's Those are just distractions, guys. They're distractions to keep you from focus. Keep the focus off you. Keep and it actually it hinders you from finding out what your purpose is, so you can zoom in on it. And this is what we lack, guys. Hey man, appreciate you for coming in. Let me see who is this right here. Guys, I'm new at this right here. Live chat. So it's taking me a minute. Brian, man, appreciate you for stopping in, man. If you got any questions about construction and home building, just you can type that in the chat, man. And guys, right now I'm talking about vision today, just having the vision, guys. And guys, building is really, really fun for me, but it's because I see the vision, guys. And guys, I mainly focus on new construction. And in new construction, if you don't see that house, new residential construction, if you don't see that house from day one, you're gonna struggle with getting that thing built because it's your mindset that's gonna pull everything together. Your subcontractor's not gonna do that for you. Now, I sub about 100% of the work, but those subcontractors, they're just only focused on what it is that they're gonna do. So if you got your HVAC guys, you're gonna come in. Only thing he's concerned about is putting in the mechanical work. That's it. He's not concerned about how everything works with everything else. He's not concerned about the electrician. Matter of fact, the electrician got to hook up to him. But it's got to be you as that builder, man. You got to orchestrate everything. You got to make sure everything, especially if you're building a spec, because at the end of the day, you're paying interest on those houses. And when you're paying interest on those houses, that interest is eating into your profit. Because at a certain point, you can't keep paying interest. So you got to get it sold. You got to build it. You got to see the end goal. You got to get it built, and you got to get that thing sold. That's the name of the game. Okay. But guys, I was talking about the younger generation, man. I just don't know. Guys, that the younger generation, there's hope with you guys because especially with the Trump administration, they're trying to bring production back here to the United States, which is a really good thing. But in order to bring production back to the United States, or corporations and things like that back to the United States, we got to have people to be able to be competent enough to do the stuff. Or the people that want to work, they want to work. I think in the call it the Zennials or the Generation Zs, I think we kind of caught up those guys. I go when I go to if I go on the main, if I try to get on the interstate coming from my house, there's four different schools that I have to pass through. And when I look at those schools, I see lines of cars, lines of cars. And what those cars are there for, they don't let the kids get on the bus anymore. The parents coddle them. They do what they call the car riders. Man, I never heard of that, man, when I was growing up. The parents take them to school. So when the parents take these kids to school, what they're doing is they're not allowing them to deal with time and structure. So, in order to get on a school bus, you got to get out there on time. Or you gonna miss the bus. You got to wake up. You got to do what you got to do. Put your clothes on. And you got to get out there and stand at that bus. See the bus don't wait on you. You wait on the bus. So these parents don't even allow. And I know some of these kids are living in the system to where the bus will pick them up, but the parents will drive them to school, call them car riders. And then not only that, the parents don't want them to get on the bus. They may have to deal with the bus bully, which I don't see anything wrong with bullies, man. I mean, I just don't. Everybody have a pecking order. When we were growing up on the playground, we all had a pecking order. You knew who to deal with, who not to. And then every once in a while, the bully want to come at you. You have to stand your ground. It teaches you about life. We have modern day bullies, like the court system. The court, you go to court, those are bullies. Lawyers and stuff like that. Those guys are bullies. You got to fight them back sometime. So we got a generation of kids, man, that are being distracted. They some of them don't want to work, and then we get into now that they can't have the vision that they need in order to go to the next level. That's just with anything, guys. This ain't all about just building, man. This is about other things other than building. This is just about life. So those are some things. Let me just see. And I tell you what, guys, I have a vision board right behind me. I don't know if I can hit that little thing. If I hit this thing right here, let me just see what it'll do here. Yeah, that's my vision board right there. So that vision board right there, I look at that thing every time I sit down right here in this space right here. I have that vision board, and that vision board is telling me what I need to be focused on. And guys, and some of the things on my vision board, like when I was talking about this builder by the name of Harry Horton, he was building a whole street. I envisioned that for me. I was like, man, I want to be able to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to be just like that guy. Guys, it took me 20 years. 20 years. And I'm actually doing what he did in that neighborhood on my street that I'm living on. Same thing. But better. Just a tad bit better because the house is a little bit more, they're a little bit more upscale than what he was building some beautiful homes back then. But it took me 20 years, man, just constant, just hitting, just a little bit every day. I had to look at that vision board. I got to see. And then I even got a vision board for my kids. On that vision board that I just showed you guys, I got things that my kids need to accomplish. I got their stuff up there too. Once they do one of them or get close to it, I increase the complexity of it. Like even me, a couple of years ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I wanted these, that when the Teslas and things like that came out, I really like renewable energy and stuff like that. I love that concept of electric cars and things like that. I really like that stuff, man, and solar panels and sustainable energy and just creating your own energy supply and things like that, and not being reliant on the local municipalities and not the local municipalities, but relying on the power companies and things like that. So I was really pushing that a long time ago. But I really wanted one of those Teslas, man. And guys, I bought my first one maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when they kind of first came out. Then I bought another one. And now I have just, once I got to the point to where, and I had Tesla on my vision board. I was like, so when I accomplished these things, like, man, I accomplished it. I even did better than I thought I would do because I just had one up there. I ended up getting two of them. And so that's not a thing anymore. I even gave them to my kids. I was like, look, man, y'all can have these things right here, man. I still drive a little Prius. And I was like, look, my focus and purpose is bigger than that. So I even increased the complexity of what I have on that vision board. And I think that's what you got to do. But guys, you got to have that vision. Are there any questions? Anybody got any questions? Anything? You guys can type it on the chat. But let me just see. So he actually changed my life, guys. That guy Harry Horton, great guy. Let me see. And let me say this right here to a lot of you women, that's guys. And I'm gonna tell you guys something too, man. If you are a guy who's driven, like the drive that I have, man, is impeccable. If you're that guy that's really, really driven, ladies, if you marry a man that has high admiration, a high drive to do things, and I forgot the word for it. I'm trying to think of that word, and I know that word will skip my mind. But if you're dealing with a man that's really, really driven, and he's driving to go to the next level on everything he does, it takes a different type of person to be married to that guy. Because you got to understand, as a wife, he's probably not going to be, he's probably going to spend a whole lot of time doing what he does. He's in his purpose. So he may not have time to be cuddling and all that kind of stuff and being up around you all the time. And I know a lot of ladies like attention, but these guys are going to the next level, man. The drive is going to be there. And you can't stop that. Either you get on board, cut him loose, let him do what he gonna do. It's even tough. I even talked to my wife about this right here, man. It's tough being married to an entrepreneur. And then what else I wanted to hit on here? And there's just little things, and entrepreneurship is really tough too, guys. It's a dog eat dog world out here, man. And if you ain't got your entrepreneur skills polished up, you're gonna, it can make it very tough for you. I don't know, guys. I think that entrepreneurship is something I think it's something that you may be just born with that mindset. I used to, when I picked my dog, I got a dog. He's sitting right here. But I picked him based on his tendencies when he was he might have been 3 weeks old, and I could just see. I did a couple of different things to kind of see was he scared and see things like that. I did those things on the front end because I knew that what you get as a pet, as a dog, the personality that he has as a puppy, it's going to be with him for the rest. That's just the way he's going to be. So I'm wondering, is entrepreneurship the same way? People who go out here, certain drive, are they just born that way? And I'm thinking that, I don't know, that may be the thing. We may just be born that way. We may just be born to go out here and make things happen. But there's just certain things that happened to me as a kid that made me do that. And I'll make a couple of videos about it. But there were certain things that happened to me. I started my first business, I think, in the 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade. And man, it was amazing what I did back then. Let me see what else we got here. I think, I'm probably, probably my internet may not be that great right now. But this right here thanks, man, for letting me know that. But this right here, guys, is This is a trial. I'm just trying this right here out. Doing this live stream. I typically just record everything and put it out there, but I'm trying to live stream because what I want to be able to do is I want you guys to be able to, and guys, I don't have it all figured out. But I'm trying this right here out as like a beginner type thing. But I want to be able to come on here and set up a time I can come on here and you guys out here, you guys that's out there in the building world can just ask questions and we can share. We can share information. I can share what I know about construction. Like if you guys have construction questions to ask, I had a lot of people talking about punch list items on one of the videos I posted. We were talking about punch lists and stuff like that. One guy said he never even had a punch list. I was like, man, if you're that perfect as a builder, that is great, man. I've never been that perfect, especially with the homeowners. Oh man, I have no audio. I guess I'm gonna have to pop off, man. God dog it. Let me see. Let me see if that will work. Testing, testing. Do I still have audio now? Let me get this right here out the way. Is there audio now? Testing, testing. I gotta figure this out, guys. I gotta figure this one out. All right, guys. Thanks for jumping in. I just wanted to try this right here out. And there's some bugs and tweaks that I'm gonna have to do on this right here, but it looks like I don't have any audio. So I'm gonna figure out what's going on. Let me just see. Yeah, I have to figure that out. All right, guys, you guys, thanks for stopping in. Let me just see. I don't even know how to stop this thing. Is that